Yes, they didn't get the narrative right. It was also a very localized campaign in Maharashtra. There were no state leaders campaigning all through the state.
Welcome back, viewers. We are joined by Neerja Chaudhary, a veteran journalist who has covered 11 Lok Sabha elections and the contributing editor of the Indian Express. Neerja ma'am, welcome to the show. Trends are all in, the numbers are all in. It's a landslide victory for the BJP and the Mahayuti alliance as a whole in Maharashtra. And it's a win for the JMM and Congress alliance in Jharkhand. What do you think that the Congress is doing off the chart that, Haryana did not work out for them, even though Jharkhand is sort of a consolation prize for them? But again, now they have lost Maharashtra when it was such a huge opportunity. It was a humongous opportunity when they could have, sort of taken revenge. They could have avenged themselves for Haryana. Does Congress need to go back to the drawing board and stay there for some time?
You mean stay there for some time, long enough? Yes, they didn't get the narrative right. It was also a very localized campaign in Maharashtra. There were no state leaders campaigning all through the state. Rahul Gandhi had 7-8 rallies. So it wasn't the kind of buzz that they created. In Rahul Gandhi's rally, he talked about the constitution again being under threat. When I traveled, constitution was not an issue as it was in the Lok Sabha when the Dalits felt it would lead to a change in the constitution and therefore end the reservations for them. So It was an issue very close to the bone as far as they were concerned. This time that was not the case. So there, of course, sympathy for Sharad Pawar and Uddhav Thackeray because their parties had been broken and they themselves had felt betrayed. That worked in the Lok Sabha elections. But sympathy does not manifest itself again and again politically.
Absolutely.
So I think and the BJP and the Mahayuti did course correction very quickly after the Lok Sabha results when the MVA had got 30 out of 48 Lok Sabha seats and the BJP was reduced to 17. And what they did was this social welfareism. They opened the purse string, the Ladki Behna Yojana, of course, which has affected 2.4 crore women, 47,000 crore of outlay. And what was extraordinary was that 5 months payment, 1,500 rupees per month, actually had reached women's hands in their banks. So 7,500 to get in your hand. And with promise of this continuing and increase to 2,100. And I must tell you this, there's not one woman I met, and this is random, as I went to Marathwada, Bombay, it was in political rallies or in the villages or generally, who had not received money, not one.
Really?
And they had put it to good use already to augment their income. So I think one of the big game changers was this, particularly shown by the fact that 5 to 6% additional women came out to vote. But they gave the credit to the Chief Minister, Eknath Shinde, not to Mahayuti. That was also a very interesting thing. But coming to the Congress, what you are saying, and the MVA, Congress, it was felt even in Jharkhand where the party has become the alliance is victorious and they're going to form the government, or also in Jammu and Kashmir where the NC as an allies formed the government. Their allies felt they did not put their best foot forward. Now there is an organizational weakness of the Congress which they have to address. And the kind of will to power, for instance, that Hemant Soren has shown. And he's kept the tribals on his side despite allegations of corruption, being in jail, of course, which generated sympathy amongst the tribals. Congress did not show that kind of will to power and the killer instinct and working hard. So also like Eknath Shinde, who started off like Modi from humble beginnings and has shown, he's clawed his way up. And he's used every book in the trick in the book to, retain power. Now, whether he becomes chief minister or he is not, because things are, arithmetic is stacked.
Yeah.
The BJP does not have to depend on them. It may take them along because it's an alliance, but does not have to depend on them, because even if Eknath Shinde, a miffed Eknath Shinde and a miffed Ajit Pawar were to move to the other side don't have the numbers. Their numbers today are less than Mahavikas Aghadi's numbers, are less than even Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena's number.
Absolutely.
So even if you tot up all these, they won't be able to form a government. In all probability, you'll see people from the Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar, NCP, moving towards this side, the ruling side, because they are in power. They have something to offer. So I think, therefore, the options for Eknath Shinde or Ajit Pawar to do something if they don't get CM shape or whatever they want are very few today. So it's corporate India, finance India, they are very happy because they wanted political stability and they think they will get it, and without this mishmash of so many parties and what they called extortions and so on, and reveries, and now it will be very difficult to undo the Ladki Behna Yojana. That, I believe, is going to be the blueprint for winning elections in the future.
You mean the female voters?
Female voters, because women have emerged as a very powerful constituency and a vote bank which no party would like to ignore. And one of the models that has succeeded in Madhya Pradesh and other states also is to give money in their hands, as also in Maharashtra. And that giving money in the hands, towards the end, say last 6 months or 8 months, does it wipe out everything you do in the previous 4 years? So this election has thrown up very, very interesting things for the future.
Absolutely. But circling back to Congress, like I asked you, do they need to stay at the drawing board for some time? What happens to the Mahavikas Aghadi alliance now? Because you have one Congress that needs to brainstorm, but it's an existential crisis for the rest of the two. Sharad Pawar at 84, NCP SP, and obviously there was loyalty for him, and that sort of worked in his favor during the Lok Sabha elections. And apart from him, you have Uddhav Thackeray. During Lok Sabha polls, the sympathy factor for him worked. But now, what happens to them?
I think they will have to bide their time. As for the NCP, yes, you're right. It's probably what he said. Sharad Pawar said, I will now retire. It's the last election. They thought the succession battle within the NCP was over. But now it seems to have swung to that side.
Yeah.
With Ajit Pawar taking away the NCP. So what happens to this group? Will that break once more? Will Sharad Pawar merge his party into the Congress party?
Is that a possibility?
Well, he said this to me during the Lok Sabha campaign, that regional parties, and his party included, and he said he'll have to talk to his colleagues, may want to merge their identity in the Congress, in the opposition space. So would he want to do that? Just a rump doesn't make sense. Uddhav Thackeray, what will he do? I think he could just bide his time and wait for this Sena people on this side to get disgruntled and look to him again as a pole in politics. But he'll have to wait for that to happen. So yes, it is a very difficult, challenging time for these two, but I never write off anybody in Indian politics.
And why is that?
Because you had a Narasimha Rao, who in 1991 had packed up his bags to go, denied even a Lok Sabha ticket. His books had already gone home to Hyderabad, and within days he was the Prime Minister of India.
So you
because
never
Rajiv
know.
Gandhi was assassinated, the party zeroed in on Narasimha Rao as the choice for Prime Ministership. Never write off anybody in Indian politics.